All right, everyone. I would just wanted to start while we're waiting on everyone to continue joining. If one wants to share a little bit about themselves or what made them want to join today, you can feel free to come off mute or put it in the chat. We'd love to see how you found out about this event today.
It's also a great opportunity to give a shout out about your work and what you're doing, since you may not know everybody online. But I can tell you by the people I see coming in, there's some powerful folk on the line. So give a shout out about what you all are doing as we're waiting for a couple more folk to come in.
You're a little shy, also feel free to drop it in the chat as well. All right, Bishop, I say we go ahead and kick this off.
So let me just say, my dogs have been quiet all day. Okay. All day. And they decide right when I push this button to come on to want to start talking. Okay. So forgive me if you hear some barking in the background. I can't get to them to knock them out. But I am Bishop Tanya Rawls, and I am founder and executive director of the Freedom Center for Social Justice. This year, we are celebrating 15 years as a nonprofit that is focused on culture shifts. Our work is at the intersection of faith and race, sexual orientation and gender identity, and social justice. And the ways that we do that work, we felt it was incredibly important to center and celebrate women. Because when we think about the work that's done in support of communities, in support of families, in support of churches and mosques and temples, women are at the center of all the big stuff. And we just wanted to have tonight to celebrate the amazing work that women are doing. And when we define women, when we say women, we mean that broadly in terms of those who are female identified, and that's important for us to note as well. So that includes for us trans women and gender nonconforming femmes as well. And so I want to welcome you all. We look forward to this conversation. And what I encourage and we encourage is, as you're here, to view this as an opportunity as well. One of the things I know is that so much of any successes that I've had, my woman circle has played a key role in that, whether it was advisors or resourcing or just somebody that gets it. It's nice to talk to somebody that just gets it. You don't have to fill in all the blanks. And so don't leave this call not knowing at least one new person, somebody that you follow up with. So you can do it multiple ways. One way is you can just do it in the chat and you can send a message directly to somebody whose remarks you found interesting. Another way is you could put it in a general chat and say, listen, I'm really interested in learning how to start growing my base. So somebody on the line might know how to do that. Or I'm interested in moving more into the Latino community because that's a growing population in my area of work. Well, you could put that in the chat as well. So this is not just like kind of looking at people talking. The goal is that this be a dynamic experience. And we definitely don't want you to miss the opportunity to get all you can get. Squeeze it out, right? And go for it. Maya is an amazing organizer. Tamaya Dillard is our senior organizer for the Freedom Center for Social Justice, and I am going to pass it off to her now. And I welcome you all with a big heart and so glad to see all of you here tonight.
Thank you, Bishop. So we're going to move right on. Bishop kicked us right off with a great start. So that was our warm welcome to you all. We are so grateful to have you all tonight. This is just a little bit about our programs that we offer that cater to women. Kitchen Table Talks is one of our programs here at the FCSJ. It's catered to women over the age of 50, African American women at that, because they are the lead numbers of new cases of HIV. So Kitchen Table Talks is catered around HIV, health and wellness topics. We have like this huge workshop that takes place throughout the year. We're planning to be all over North Carolina, so we would love to have you for those kitchen table talks as well. Because just as Bishop was mentioning earlier, the open dialogue, the support, the conversations is really impactful on individuals' life, and it goes a long way. So we just want to keep this going and this huge movement, make it a huge movement at that. We also have Girls Trip that I'm excited about this year. It's going to be catered to trans femmes of the age 18 to 30. So this will be something, we branched it off last year, but this year is like really the kickstart, where we will be having an event such as Kitchen Table Talks every other month. So we would love to have you join for events like that. We also offer so many more programs, so feel free to check out our website as well as subscribe to our newsletter so we can just keep having you be involved and participate. So this is just a little bit of the run of show. We're going to just basically have a welcome, which we have done. We're going to have our wonderful 4 panelists speak, and I'll basically introduce you at a later time. But right now, it's just me and Emily are going to kick you off on what support systems look like for women and why our support systems are so important. Well, this is also a discussion topic. So a little bit of our panelists will be touching base on open dialogue, which will include health and wellness, challenges with health and wellness, support system, community resources. We'll also be discussing coping techniques today, challenges in just your daily life. Also, how to empower individuals. Mental Health Month starts tomorrow, next month. So we'll be having that discussion as well tonight. Yeah, so we have all the things, all the topics, and I'm really excited about it. And this is a little warm welcome to our CEO and funder, Bishop Tanya Rawls, who just started us off. And we'll get right into the support systems. Does anyone have any questions at this time? All right, I'm going to go ahead and start us off with support systems. So I wrote a little bit about support systems because I'm a newlywed, just finishing my master's, a lot of stepping stones that has happened for me this year and last year. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit of that and why support systems have been so important in my life. And also, I'm pretty sure for every woman in the room today, it's just as important. So in a world where challenges and triumphs are woven into the fabric of our lives, the significance of a support system cannot be overstated. For me, as a Black woman who has recently completed their master's, embarked on their journey of marriage, and also blessed with the unwavering support of family and friends, the importance of such a network takes an even greater resistance. And in the pursuit of personal and professional fulfillment, navigating the complexities of life can sometimes feel like solitary endeavor. However, the embrace of supportive community that we find solace, strength, and encouragement to strive. Within the framework of social structures often fight with systematic barriers, Black women face unique experiences and challenges. Despite the obstacles, they exhibit resilience, determination, spirits that propels them forward. However, and the strongest among us require a foundation of support upon which to build their dreams and aspirations. For me, as a young Black woman who has attained the milestone of completing her master's, for the journey is marked by triumph and trials. It is a testament of my intellect, perseverance, and unwavering commitment to excellence. However, the journey does not end with academic achievement. It is merely a stepping stone towards even greater endeavors. Um, as I continue to navigate the complexity of marriage and family life, my support system has become my anchor, providing stability and reassurance life through life's turbulent seas. It is a source of love, understanding, and solidarity. To embrace the fullness of my existence and pursue my aspirations with unanswering determination. So, in essence, a woman's support system is not merely a network of individuals, but a tapestry of love, resilience, and empowerment. It is a testament to the collective strength of women who uplift and inspire another to reach new heights and greatness. And for the Black woman who stands at the intersection of multiple identities, it's a sanctuary where she is seen, valued, celebrated, and complexity and brilliance. So I just wanted to write that a little bit because even in the room today, I have Layla as a panelist who was also my supervisor for my MSW. So just to have that abundant support means a lot. To have a CEO like Bishop, a strong CEO that you can learn from and, take account of what's happening in the workplace as well. I have my mom that's on here today. So my support goes in this. I have also my peers that I have had the opportunity to work with in the MSW program. I have friends that supported me. So this message is to say that I would not be where I am today if it was not for the support systems that I have in place. And I do acknowledge that that has helped me succeed and place me where I'm at today. And so that support doesn't go unnoticed. And we always say that it takes a village to raise a child, but it's also the same for women and individuals in that matter. It takes a village to make it where you want to make your dreams happen, to make you succeed in life, to empower you. If you're having a bad day, someone that can kind of uplift you or you vent to. So we wanted just to touch bases on why support systems are so important. So I really wanted to recognize the individuals that have support me along my journey and just really open the floor. So now I'm going to pass it to Emily, who is our Latinx community organizer, so that she can speak a little bit on her support system and why it's so important for her.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I want to say one technical thing though. If you all could, those who want to, if you can go up to the view button in the upper right and press side by side speaker in the drop down box, it would enable you to see the speaker as they're talking a bit clearer. And so I just want to suggest that. And you can also open up your screen if you put your cursor right on the line in between where you see Emily and where you see the why our support systems, because you can open up your screen and be able to see the speaker more clearly. So forgive me if you all already know this, but if you don't, it'll make for a better experience. Thanks, Em.
Yep. So like Tamaya said, I'm the Latinx community organizer. Before I get into like who my support systems are and like what they are, I kind of wanted to give like a little background of myself. So I grew up in a traditional Catholic Mexican household. I was the first girl in my family, the first daughter, the first granddaughter. So after my cousins and my sister were born, it sort of felt like I became a mom too. I was sort of taught to take care of everyone. I changed diapers, I clothed them, I helped bottle feed and cook for them. I took care of them when they were sick. I remember I was about 10 years old, like already staying home alone with all my younger cousins, babysitting them. So as the first girl, I had to set that example for them. I couldn't make a mistake. I had to always produce good grades. I had to go to church every Sunday. I had to be responsible. I had to be respectful. I could never say no. I had to show up strong all the time. So there was a lot of pressure to be perfect, and I didn't know who I was because I spent so much time and effort pretending to be the woman that they wanted me to be. And pretended to like and want the things that they wanted me to like and want. I have a very unpopular opinion in the Latinx community. I personally don't want children. And that is a big, I guess you would say, no-no because they always expect the woman to have children. Um, so, like I said, it became a lot of pressure for me because I had to show up strong when I really wanted to just break down sometimes and cry. So I was sort of catering to everyone's needs, but who was catering to mine? Um, so still today, I feel that pressure to be perfect all the time. So as I've gotten older, I've had to find support on my own. Because when you do go to in a Hispanic household, when you do express concern, you express sadness, or however you're feeling, you're always told, go to church, pray it away, or do some chores and you won't be sad anymore. That type of stuff. Um, so I had to go out and find it on my own, which was really hard at first. But like I said, as I've gotten older, I've learned more about myself. I've explored different options. So the first way that I found, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, and it's never a shame to anyone who does participate in this, but I do go to therapy. I know therapy is not for everyone, and that's okay. Whatever works for you, I hope that it benefits you in a positive way. Therapy just provides a safe space for me to kind of let everything out. I don't like to go to my family or friends for any problems that I'm having because I just don't want to be that burden on them. Because as I said, I kind of felt like I had to cater to their needs. Um, and it was just easier for me to talk to a stranger who I know wouldn't judge me. They were there to uplift me. And another way that I found support is finding the courage to have those tough conversations with my parents. So I've always been sheltered. They protected me from a lot of things I didn't know about. I guess you could say I wasn't cultured in different areas. So that was something that had to learn once I went off to college. I met people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, and it really opened my eyes to like what I was really missing. Um, so like they sheltered me a lot, and there's a lot of things that I'm still learning. I moved out of their house. I had to learn how to stand my ground, especially when they still try to control little aspects of my life, even now. When I do have these tough conversations with them, I kind of let them know like I'm not asking for permission. I'm kind of just letting you know, keeping you in the loop. But I promise, like, I'm thinking of it and like, what would mom do? What would dad do? What would my aunt do? What would my grandma do? I kind of always have them in the back of my head. But even though they're my parents and I know they mean well, they've still been that support system, even though they kind of gone about it the wrong way. But I always tell people that my mom is my best friend. We will talk almost every day and we'll gossip for about 15 minutes. She'll tell me all the drama that goes on in our town. I'll tell her what goes on at work and the drama that I have with my friends or just little things like that. It makes me happy to know that I'm still close with them, even though they put that pressure on me as like a little girl to be the perfect woman, the perfect Hispanic woman for them. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily, for sharing this, sharing. Also, Emily was the one harassing you all with the emails yesterday and today. But Emily has been such a great help for this wonderful event today. So thank you for sharing, Emily. Next, we will have the great Reverend Glency Redrick. Her pronouns is she and her. Reverend Glency is an ordained Baptist minister, currently serves as associate minister at First Baptist Church West, where she leads a ministry and facilitates and engages in weekly adult Bible study classes. Reverend Glency is a womanist, a theoactivist addressing the issues of unjust experiences and biases which impact women in the communities of African ascent. So I want to give a great round of applause for Rev. Glency Redrick, and we'll bring her on the screen.
And can I say, just as she's coming on, if we could pause just for one quick second,
Yes,
that was some very deep sharing that you both did. And I don't want to just run over that, if you all don't mind,
yes.
because that was, you all really shared some big stuff. And we didn't get a chance. You had asked us earlier about if anybody had questions or comments. And I definitely don't want to leave you all out of that loop. And Emily, thank you for sharing in the way that you did, as well as for you, Tamaya. And so I just wanted to just make a quick comment first. I wanted to honor what was shared. And that's also some of what I think is very important, is that we find ways of honoring ourselves, even if that means that sometimes things have to be kind of moved and shifted. I will say to you, Emily, your experience is not that dissimilar from many women of color. I'm the eldest of four girls, and so I definitely know I had the key around my neck, I was definitely a latchkey kid. I was told, very young, by my mom, if I'm not home to my younger siblings, Tanya's the mom. And I took that and ran with it. I mean, I literally, and right now today, for those who don't know, my spouse passed in November. I have an amazing therapist. There is never anything to be ashamed of in terms of therapy. And I'm a bishop and I needed a therapist very badly. And she's amazing. But I thank you for raising that, because I know culturally that was a big thing for you to say. And so I have a question for both of you all. And that is, what do you think are some of the challenges in reference to intergenerational connections with women, among women? You both are young women under 30. And so what do you all feel are some of the obstacles and some of the opportunities when thinking about the bridge between more mature women and younger women?
For me, it was more of, like I said, learning how to stand my ground and speak up for myself. Um, in Hispanic families, Hispanic households, it's more like you're kind of taught to keep it in. And if you don't, pray it away, go to church. So when I kind of just sat there and I was like, well, it's not working for me, I was, okay, so what else can I do? Who else can I talk to? And for a while, I didn't tell my family what I was doing. I didn't tell them I was going to therapy. I didn't tell them that I needed help. Because like I said, I didn't want to be that burden. I didn't want to worry them. I didn't want them to kind of put me back down again. So it was more just learning to stand up for myself, speaking up, and then finding other people that were experiencing the same thing and just kind of like relating to them, like, oh, you're going through the same thing I am. It was just more just having those tough conversations.
Yeah, for me, it was challenges of finding a common ground. I have my grandparents who are much older, who are from a background, Christian background, where you're not supposed to be gay. Women are supposed to cook and clean the house. So really wanting to be a leadership woman and branch into myself as also being as young as I am. It comes from this place where, you may not know everything, or you're not sure because you haven't been through life, where sometimes in African American culture, adults feel like with the more age you have more experience, you know more. So kind of finding a common ground, how to meet in the middle, to where I have had, like Emily was mentioning, the tough conversations around something that I may not agree on, or the individual may, know a little more, and being willing to learn from them, but also them being able to reciprocate and learn from me as well, and actually opening the floor. So to me, it's just important to find that common ground so that we can work over the barriers, because if you're willing to find that common ground, it's easy to move forward. All right. So next, we have the great Rev. Glency Redrick, and we'll go ahead and open the floor. Hi, Rev. Glency, you with us?
As a person who wears many hats, I'm multitasking. So the drum roll and the music begins. Good evening, everyone. I too, like Bishop Rawls, want to commend both Tamaya and Emily for what they shared. Their lives pretty much pattern, I think, most of us who are participating tonight. I know as the oldest daughter in my family, I did become the mom. I don't think I rule like Reverend like Bishop Rawls did, but I did have to hold down the fort, did have to make sure that meals were prepared. I actually learned how to cook and living with my grandmother at a very early age. So if we want to talk about my activism before I go into my work, I was an activist in high school. I refused to take home economics because everything that they had for us to learn, I already had that skill. And so because I wanted to be in the orchestra, they were held at the same time. And I said, well, I'm playing in the orchestra. So mom, you go work that out. And so they were able to do that. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you tonight. And my responsibility is to talk about inclusivity. And while I wake up this technology, I want to say that I kind of shift the conversation around inclusivity specifically to kind of interweave who I am and what I do around why inclusivity is so important within this great community of women that we have on tonight. And now I'm getting a message about sharing my screen. I didn't have that message earlier. Um, so let's
Awesome. It might
see.
be working now, Rev. Glency. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me go to it. It's not letting me bring it up. Okay, here we go. And so I have at least 3 slides, but I think I'm going to leave it at the beginning if that's okay with everyone, and just talk about inclusivity. Um, Again, waking up technology here. The history of my life, I have been a part of what it means to be, I don't want to say self-contained, but a determined woman in the community as becoming an adult. So the question about inclusivity, I wanted to center around 3 questions. Why is inclusion important? What does it look like? And what are the challenges women face, and women of color in particular? And then the areas that I chose to look at were women in the workplace, which was the assignment, women in faith institutions, the community and home. And I chose that because I wear all of those hats. And I think it's important for us to see where our strength lies. So what does it look like for a Black woman in particular in all of these institutions? Why is it important for us to even have this conversation about inclusivity? Well, it ensures that all individuals, regardless of their gender, race, religion, or backgrounds, have equal opportunities and representation in all aspects of society. Inclusive environments fosters diversity, which leads to innovation, creativity, and a broader range of perspectives. Inclusion looks like creating spaces where everyone feels valued and respected and empowered to contribute their unique talents and perspectives. It involves actively challenging systemic barriers and biases that prevent certain groups, most especially women, since this is our focus for the evening, fully participating and thriving is what we want to be about. In the workplace, what does it look like? Women often face challenges such as gender discrimination, wage gaps, and limited opportunities for advancement. In the faith institution, we find ourselves being faced with patriarchal and hierarchical norms, which oftentimes limit our leadership roles and our theological interpretations. In the community, women may encounter social norms that restrict autonomy and reinforce traditional gender roles. I don't think we have to name them. I think we know them. At home, women may bear the disproportionate burden of unpaid care work and facing challenges, career aspirations with familiar responsibilities. And now my role as a grandmother, as my grandson comes in the room. No. Mama's in a presentation. Addressing these challenges requires collective efforts to dismantle systemic barriers, which promotes, hold on one second. Can we gather the baby? Thank you. Pause for that grandma interruption. So, so addressing these challenges requires collective efforts to dismantle systemic barriers, promote gender equity, and create inclusive environments where all women can fully participate and thrive. I wanted to talk about, why Black women in particular. So we often face intersecting forms of discrimination based on both race and gender, commonly experiencing paid disparities, limited opportunities for advancement, and migration and microaggressions. So within the faith institution, Black women may continue to encounter those barriers. We're left out of roles because of what I call the good old boy club. So if you don't fit in the good old boy club, you may be waiting for days to be called to serve as a pastor of a church. To give you an example, I applied for the position for a church and I got back a letter, thank you. But we are looking for, and all I saw were the male pronouns. Okay, so that was my exit out of that. When we're looking at the community, we navigate systemic inequalities, including disparities in our healthcare, our education, and our housing. There was a time that women couldn't buy a home. We had to go through the men in our lives, so be it a husband or a father or a brother. And in some societies, that still exists. So, while we're doing all of this, we as Black women are often juggling multiple roles, grandma role, mom role, all those roles. And yet we still have time for community activism. I chose to communicate on all these factors because as Black women, as I stated earlier, I fit in all of those categories. I also chose to identify myself as a woman theoactivist. And why do I do that? Because as a womanist, I understand that our role in this society is to lift up the tide for everyone. And when we do, all tides are lifted. My primary focus and aim as a woman theoactivist is that I work through using the principles of Ubuntu and Sal Bono. Ubuntu, I am because we are. Sal Bono, because I see you. And when I see you, I see myself. And I'm kind of paraphrasing because I'm not looking at my notes. But using those two principles helps to foster the work that I do as a community activist in this community. If I am looking in the mirror and seeing myself, then I want the same things that I want. I should want for those who I am seeing. So the mirror, Michael Jackson really wrote that song for us, seeing yourself in the mirror. And because I am, uh, we are, which means that I speak from a collective, a communal lens, an inclusive lens, which is a part of the assignment. I wear several hats. I am a pastor. I am a real estate broker. I am an activist, covers all of that. And I founded a podcast, some call it, but speaking in the key of we. And what's important about that is we. The emphasis is on how we come together, work together, and foster a care of living together in a key of we. So if I'm speaking in a key of we, I'm not speaking individualistically. I'm not speaking only as a female. I'm not speaking only as a mother, but I'm speaking in inclusive language. The thrust right now for speaking in the key of we is about voting, because that is a part of who we are and who we want to be in these United States. I don't know how much time I have. As a minister and a womanist, I preach from that lens so that we are looking at the text from our lived experiences. And therefore, I pull out of the text women who have been ostracized, oppressed, and even harmed physically, emotionally, and psychologically. I lift those out of the text so that we can see ourselves in the text and then be able to provide a liberative lens as to how we are able to survive. I'm going to stop there and ask if there are questions. And maybe activate
Thank you so much
other.
thank you for sharing, Rev. One question I had, how do you keep the balance?
Well,
You
I
wear a lot
rely on the
I've seen you,
divine.
yeah, how do you keep that? Because there's a lot of hats, and I think that's something
It
very
is a lot of
critical
hats.
to what we all are talking
And
about.
can you hear me? How do I do that? I really rely on the calendar. I also rely on the divine, and I use the method that the hospitals use. I'm also a trained chaplain, and when you're in the hospital and I don't know if they use pagers now, but they did when I was there. They go off for every floor in the hospital, and you have to be able to learn how to triage. And so one of the things that I'm able to do is to triage what comes first and take care of the most urgent need and work it down. And you might want to just ask me, where do I get the rest? I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm in school on the West Coast. And so my family is always wondering, when am I going to eat? I said, well, actually on the West Coast, it's just now 6:30. So I can balance myself saying, this is what happens on the East Coast. This is what happens on the West Coast. But that is an awesome question. I think we have to recognize how to balance out, how to prioritize, and realize that for me, because I look at everything I do from a spiritual lens, the divine is going to speak to what comes first and what comes next.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Rev Glency.
Yeah.
I also have a question. Just with the challenges that you may face with wearing many hats, how do you overcome those challenges?
I meditate a lot and I walk a whole lot. I'm currently in school working on my PhD, which is in the area of inclusivity from a spiritual lens. The focus is dealing with African ascending clergy women who experience oppression within the workplace. And so doing this writing is a challenge. It also kicks up some of my own traumas. So I find that walking and meditating helps greatly. I'm also a master Reiki practitioner. So I also use Reiki on myself to help me with that. Music is a powerful instrument for me. So I'm listening to music at times when, if everything else isn't working, if I put on some good music. And one of the things that my grands and I like to do is to dance to cha-cha slide. That'll take care of all anxiety right there. So I get my steps in. I get to have some joy and some laughter and some fun time. And being able to find time to spend time with those you love. One of the things that I recognize is that children say, as they say on television, they say the darndest things. They do the darndest things. And even in their doing, they challenge you to know that you can do more. I was struggling with a sermon, just trying to uh, get my thoughts together. And my grandson was outside on a scooter, never been on it before. And he was trying to figure that thing out. And he took his time and figured it out. And I was like, well, what's my problem? By the time I was done, he was riding that thing in the circle. I said, oh, I captured it so that whenever I find myself in a spot, I just go look at this little 3-year-old's determination to do it until he got it right. Now he does tricks on it. So I think that, we want to be able to find time to celebrate whatever our faith traditions are, however we recognize the creator. That's a key for me. Being able to appreciate those who the divine has put into our midst and recognize that not to take yourself too seriously, because when we do, we stress ourselves more than we realize. And I didn't say it was easy, but I did say that's what I do.
Thank you, Rev Glency. And also just to our participants, me and Rev Glency had did a workshop catered to around World AIDS Day, maybe a couple months ago. I think it was December. So this is definitely someone that you will want to connect with. Rev Glency is thebomb.com. And make sure that you use her information. She does all the things. When she says she wears all the hats, she does. So make sure that you take down her info or connect with her after this event today. So thank you so much again, Rev Glency.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to move on to our next. Give me one moment. All right. So our next panelist we have coming is Layla Bluford. Layla is an MSW graduate of alumni of Johnson C. Smith University and the University of South Carolina since starting her social work career in 2011. She has worked as a violence prevention case manager, adjunction professor, foster parent trainer, foster camp, summer camp director, and sex trafficking case manager. Layla wears many hats in her community, from being an adult, youth, and teen mental health first aid instructor, from Catch My Breath teacher. So if you can welcome Layla, we're so glad to have Layla as a panelist today. And yeah. And also Layla was also my MSW supervisor as well. So Layla also wear many hats. So like we have some great women in the room. So make sure, like I said, that you're taking that information in.
All right. Welcome. Thank you for having me. I don't have a slide, so I'm just going to talk just from experience and from this from the topic. I'm just going to build on the topic. I know we talked about, these expectations of Black women, or women in particular, but especially women of color, the expectations that are put on that we're supposed to do certain things. We're supposed to be a mother. We're supposed to go to college. I've kind of, in that process, I found myself struggling to fit into those boxes. I found out that I do not fit into boxes. Fitting into boxes, and trying to go with the norm is just not for me. And so I am a change maker. I did eventually go back to school. I'm also one that was working on a doctorate degree, had 2 classes left, and I said, I'm not supposed to do this. This is not where I'm supposed to be. I am the proud mother of a college dropout that had 1 class left, and I am so proud of my daughter for saying this is no longer for me. I am also the visionary of Mom, I Don't Want to Go to College. And this is where, as a Black mother, I had to eventually accept that my daughter didn't want to go to college. Me pushing my daughter, being that mother, you're going to go to college because this is what we said you were supposed to do. I found myself stressing and being mental stress to my daughters. And, just like I think Emily is her name that talked about, setting these standards of your child. I end up being that mother that eventually realized just because I'm a mom does not make my journey the right way. Just because I'm a mom and I was taught this way doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And so I am very non-traditional in who I am as a mother, allowing my daughters to one, drop out of college and support. Even got a shirt made that says I'm a proud mother of a college dropout. Because I understood that even when I said, drop out, I was quiet because I didn't need my friends or anybody to know that my kids dropped out. I even didn't want my friends and stuff to ask what my daughter that wasn't going to college was going to do. And so now I do use my platform and I who host the Mama I Don't Want to Go to College. And I realized that had so many aspects. It's my way to apologize for my kids. Because as a Black mother, I also realized that I only set my kids up and said you're supposed to go to college. I never expressed to my kids and educated them on apprenticeships and alternative routes. I sat and determined at a young age what my kids were supposed to do as adults and what their adulthood was supposed to look like. Me saying, Mom, I don't want to go to college is my public apology to my daughters because Mama didn't have it together. Mama only knew what she knew at that time. But now that I know better, I do better. Just being even a proud mom of a daughter who recently let me know that she's part of the LGBT community. Being able to support that with pride and not judge. And, I'm just your mom and I want you to do what's best for you. So I had to become that mom. The other part of that is that, I have 3 adult daughters. I had to realize I did my 18 years with them. How they move through adulthood is not for me to dictate. I don't get to tell them this because I'm helping you financially or I'm letting you stay in this house. I don't get to let you stay in this house. This is your home because this is our home. As long as, like I tell them, you don't do stupid SHIT, and don't embarrass me. Everything else is I want you to live and find yourself. One of the other things I do in the community, in addition to I do a whole lot in the community. And so I'm one of those I tell people, they say what I do is what I don't do. But I am a mental health first aid instructor. I'm a youth mental health first aid instructor for adults who work with children. I am a teen mental health first aid instructor where I can teach teens in 10th through 12th grade mental health first aid and how to support themselves, but I'm also adult mental health first aid instructor. And one of the things I know, I'm a cancer survivor. I'm someone that thrives with depression. But I realized, and it wasn't until my doctor, I'm talking to my doctor, I'm like, I don't like the way I feel. And she let me know, well, this is normal. You were a single mom. You were taking on everything the world said that you were supposed to do. You didn't have an outlet. You didn't have a break. What was supposed to happen to your body? Because you were it for everyone. But where do you go when you need someone to show up for you? Over the years, I have masked it as far as, I put on a smile and I just learned how to mask. And I learned that mostly because being around other Black women who are my friends, who are still my friends and sisters, they are not my safe space to ever go with my mental challenges because they're going to tell me to pull it together. They're going to tell me this. But you know what? When I just had my hysterectomy last summer, they told me to listen to my body, not drive, not cook. They were supportive of that journey. But one thing I know is I don't have a Black friend that is going to be supportive of my mental health challenge. I don't take it to them. I don't do therapy. I do things my own way. But I do mental health first aid because I wish more Black women, especially because we are those sisters and people are venting to us, but we're not safe spaces to each other. Very rarely are Black women safe spaces to each other to be vulnerable, to be able to say, I'm tired, I'm sick and tired, I'm okay. And so with that, I do the mental health first aid. As I do teen mental health first aid, I'm like, oh, wow, I need more Black teens to be trained in mental health first aid because a lot of times those teens are parental. They're the ones that are taking care of the siblings while the mom is working 2 jobs or trying to go back to school. That teen needs to be able to recognize what mental health challenges look like in their siblings while mom is working and taking care of the house and doing everything else. And so it is one of the reasons I just do things a little bit different. And I realized that I'm a rebel. I've always been a rebel. I define odds. I am who Tupac Shakur said was that rose that grew from the crack in the concrete. I am her. Graduated high school 1.67 GPA, 8 months pregnant. I have 3 college degrees, but I'm also that mom, I don't want to go to college. Every year I host an event that talks about other alternatives without college because I do also believe that now that I'm in, my college degree did let me in systems, it lets me at tables, but now it allows me to tear down systems. It lets me just change narratives that people never thought about changing. It gets me to challenge norms, but that's who I am. That's her story, in my journey, just to not fitting in. I will never live up to society's expectations of me. I'm always do it different. I don't color in the lines. I don't even believe the color blue is blue. I'm going to question everything you've ever told me, even down to religion. I don't fit in any religion. I believe there's truth in every religion. I believe that two things can be true at all times. And I just create what's norm for me, without fitting into anybody else's box. And thank you.
Well, Layla, yeah, you said a lot in just a little bit of time. So I want to kick off just a question, and I'll open the floor for all participants. Just what does self-care look like, or how can you include self-care? Say you were talking about mothers and, providing for children, and how so often that self-care for them, it doesn't exist. So can you talk a little bit about self-care or what that may look like?
Um, I can't talk about it when you have young children because I didn't know it at that point. I do know about it as a mom of adult children and knowing that I've done my 18 years and being able to not be a helicopter mom, understanding that I'm not supposed to be in the driver's seat anymore, understanding that I don't get to dictate their life. I don't get to tell them what's right or wrong or that they should do this. I expect them in their 20s to make a mess of stuff and to get it wrong. I expect them to figure out what it is. And so one of my biggest self-cares is understanding that I done did it for 18 years. I need them to be able to do it. I have to understand and respect them. And so in being able to do that and even understand my self-care is knowing that I'm not a perfect person, knowing I'm not a perfect mother, being able to apologize to my daughters, being able to allow them to tell me, how express how they feel, even in us going back and unpacking things that I did that was unhealthy, raising them. I go back and unpack that. I go back and apologize about that. And so in understanding that, but just understanding I did my 18 years, now it's time to do me, and live me. And my self-care is also in understanding that I choose what is successful for me, not looking at social media. My self-care is also in even putting my phone in do not disturb every night around 10:30. I don't care what happened outside this house. If it ain't one of my daughters and stuff, I gotta know when I can't show up for people, telling people I don't have the mental capacity. I'm not that friend you can trauma dump on. I'm a friend that will tell you there's a world of professionals and I'm gonna give you a number and I'm gonna be a mental health provider that way. I understand that even in giving advice, one of my biggest things as a Black woman, I don't give advice to anybody, because I feel that we are all and I don't take advice. I don't like giving advice, and I don't like taking advice. I like being a support, and you figure it out, because me giving you advice, that's too much energy and stuff that I got to worry about. And so I can only focus on me. The one thing I tell my daughters, I don't expect you to have it together at 20 and 21 and 25, because I don't got it together in my 40s. I'm still figuring this thing out called life. Every time I think I got the one chapter, there's another chapter. And now it's time to worry about menopause and stuff. And so I just realized there's always going to be something. I will never have it figured out. I wake up each day and it's a new day. And I just don't live up to nobody's expectations of me. I set my own expectations. You're going to come up short if you think I'm supposed to meet your expectations. But I'm going to do me.
Thank you for sharing so much, Layla. At this time, I want to open up the floor for any participants. If you may have any questions with Layla regarding mental health, mentorship, any other things, please put it in the chat or come off mute at this time.
I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
There's this saying, it could have gone the other way. it sounds like there's so many moments where it could have gone the other way, and I'm just so grateful that you made it. Because I think each one of us, if we could project what we've been through, I don't think any of us look like what we've been through. And so I'm just in hearing your story, I just want to congratulate you and let you know how grateful I am that you made it through, because the world is a better place because you made it through.
Thank you. Thank you. I received that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Layla. And we also have time at the end for questions, because that does happen, which we have learned. So I made 15 to 20 minutes at the end for all participants to be able to ask all panelists questions. So next we have, let me pull it. Next, we have Miss Orlando Ruiz, is the author of Talking Brushstrokes, holds a Juris Doctor degree and Master's in Education. She is currently leading a series of creative writing workshops for Latino cancer survivors in Charlotte. She's made possible by a grant from the Arts and Science Council as a passionate Hispanic disability advocate for the North Carolina Council on Development Disabilities and the Enlace Vice Chair. She tirelessly champions equality and amplifies voices, rejecting the confines of singular roles. So we want to introduce Orlando Ruiz. And I also want to open the floor, Orlando. Let me share your PowerPoint. All right.
Photos.
All right.
All right. Well, so good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for having me here. So muchas gracias y buenas tardes a todos. So I'm going to do this presentation in both languages. So because I know that we are recording this and we want also to reach out to the Latinx community, and we have also Latino people here. So voy a hacer esta presentación en ambos idiomas para poder llegar a la población hispana con ambos idiomas. So, storytelling and women empowerment. So, what is this and why I'm talking about this? So, next slide. So, ¿por qué el contar historias y el empoderamiento de las mujeres? I want to start with these two quotes of two women that they are empowering women. And one is from Gloria Anzaldúa, Gloria Anzaldúa, and her quote says, "A woman who writes has power, and a woman with power is fear." So, una mujer que escribe tiene poder, y una mujer con poder se le tiene miedo. The other one is for Zainab Salbi, and she said, "The single thing all women need is in the world is inspiration, and inspiration comes from storytelling." La única cosa en el mundo que necesitan todas las mujeres es inspiración. Y la inspiración viene de contar historias. And I think that these quotes are very important when we want to realize our empowerment. So when Emily started, she was telling her story, and I was listening and I identify with some of the things that she said. I mean, she's a Latino woman, and she came from a conservative family, and she was being authentic, and she was saying, everything that happens to her in a truth and a unique voice. So, cuando Emily empezó a contar su historia, yo le presté mucha atención, porque ella lo dijo de una forma que me hizo sentir identificada. Primero, ambas somos latinas. Segundo, viene de una familia conservadora. Tercero, lo hizo con una voz auténtica y mostró vulnerabilidad. And when we talk about vulnerability, that's the power. Sometimes people think that is, power is being strong. That was other times, people, really. We have to show our vulnerability. We have to show our uniqueness. That's what makes us different. And that's when our real power resides. So, la verdadero poder está en la vulnerabilidad y en el ser auténtico. So, next slide, please. What is a storytelling? Storytelling is a powerful way to communicate messages. And all of you have been doing this in this panel. Your story, the story of your daughter, the story of why you're doing this, what do you believe or what you don't believe, what you decide to take, some stuff away and, let go of a lot of things. Así que contar historia es una manera muy poderosa de comunicar los mensajes. ¿Qué es, verdad? Esos mensajes, como ustedes aquí en el panel lo han hecho, las historias de su hija, lo que han aceptado, lo que han dejado, lo que creen, lo que no creen. It's also a way to connect with audiences. And this is the time that we are trying to connect in every way, and especially in social media. And there's a lot of competition out there. And even though, I'm not talking about being an influencer, but, we all kind of are if we want to make changes. So we need to connect in some way. And telling stories is the way that we connect, because the stories sink in and let us, think about and we identify with that. Sí que esta es la época en que tenemos que conectar con las audiencias, no importa si usted es o no es un influencer, aunque de cierta manera lo somos si queremos cambiar ciertos pensamientos, si queremos cambiar el mundo, como dicen por ahí. Y hay mucha competencia, así que nuestro mensaje tiene que ser profundo and convey information in memorable ways. So one of the good things about storytelling is that you can have fun with it. You can make people cry, and the information should be memorable. Sí, así que una de las cosas también de contar historias es que la información se hace de una forma que es memorable, se transmite de una forma que es memorable, y usted cuando cuenta una historia lo puede hacer de una forma divertida, de una forma dramática, de una forma que llegue a las personas. So, next slide. Storytelling can directly and tightly connect the teller and the audience. It generates emotions, good or bad. Así que una buena historia lo va a conectar a usted como cuentista y su audiencia, y va a generar emociones, buenas o malas. A good story has to generate emotions, and you have to accept that. One of the things is that, you are not everyone's cup of tea, and they're going to judge you just, because the way that they see you, or who's this person. And when you are telling something, when you're telling, this happened in this way, I feel sad, and I'm being abused, I'm being this, it will generate emotions. And it will be good and it will be bad. Así que una historia lo va a conectar, va a generar esas emociones, pueden ser buenas, pueden ser malas, pero tiene que generar emociones. Next. Why? And you say, why? Why are we going out there telling us stories? And it's funny because I teach people to tell stories, and I tell stories, but I try to change it. But one of the things that I've been learning, especially with the Latino cancer survivors, is how powerful they are. And their story is not just about cancer. It's their stories. It's stories about death. It's stories about thriving. It's it's about everything that you can imagine. And they start this process saying, I'm not a writer. I don't know what to do. And now they are writing, writing and enjoying it. And it's been growing, and the perspective is also shifting. And I've been humbled by this experience because, oh my God, what they're doing and how real they are. And they want to be, and they want to see the book finish, and they want that everybody knows their stories. So that's why we have to tell the story. Por eso es que tenemos que contar los cuentos, las historias. Con este proceso de trabajar con las sobrevivientes de cáncer, ellas al principio me decían, no, yo no sé escribir, yo no soy escritora, esto está muy difícil, y ahora están escribiendo y no paran. Y están escribiendo unas cosas tan listas, bien lindas, y de todo, de la vida, de la muerte, y no solamente su historia de cáncer, muchas otras historias. So, why? Because it demands to be told. Hay que contarla. To articulate vulnerability, strength, and resilience. Para articular la vulnerabilidad, la fuerza y la resiliencia. To confront societal norms. Para confrontar las normas sociales. You know, this patriarchy, this capitalism, I mean, my way, it's not really working. At least not for us women. So we have to, do something. And yeah, I think that the best way is taking a pen, taking our voice, taking a microphone, and saying what we have to say to shift perspective. And everybody usually looks, I see everything in their own bubble. Boy, I gotta say that I've been learning a lot every day. I learn a little bit more, and everybody has their own perspective, and we have to understand that, respect that, and accept that. So, and we have to shift also. So, las perspectivas, para cambiar las perspectivas, para respetar esas perspectivas. Y to ignite inspiration in others. Inspiration. All of you that have been talking, these stories have to go out there. You should be on the Boom Festival. You should be on the Charlotte Poetry Festival. By the way, I'm going. So you should do some, slam poetry. And talk and be out there so you can inspire other people. Para inspirar a otras personas. Así que tienen que ir ahí. Vayan al Festival de Boom y hablen. Vayan al Festival de Poesía, que yo voy a estar presente. Así que inspiración, inspiración. La próxima. Sorry, next one. That happens when you're bilingual. Sometimes you don't. Just stuck on the other question. Sometimes you're talking to somebody in one language and they don't speak that language. So sorry about that. Okay. So what are the challenges? When we're doing this storytelling, it could be daunting. Yeah, because you are getting naked, in front of a lot of people that you don't know, because it's you. So one of the sample of that, I will read something that I used to tell as a storytelling, and this is real. So I collapse on the floor, crying and unable to stand. My dog approached me and licks my tears. I look for my phone to call someone, especially a psychiatrist, to look for a psychiatrist. I need to heal. I need to get better. My best friend needs me to be well. So, short story, real, that happens to me with a panic attack. I have two panic attacks consecutive due to my mom's illness. And I was very reluctant to tell people that. I was very reluctant to tell people that I went to get mental health. So, yeah, I collapsed on the floor, and my dog came, and she in some way, I feel that she changed everything. Because even though I have a family, I have a husband, I have a son, this is this dog is the one that doesn't ask me for anything. I mean, just to go out potty, basically, and food. But it was so unreal. I mean, she just came. I just couldn't believe it. She just came to lick my tears. And I said, well, if it's not for me, if it's not for anyone, at least for her, I need to get better. And I think that's a way to tell a story, and I probably just want that somebody identifies with that in some way, because sometimes it's how we feel. So, esta historia, ¿verdad? Básicamente, colapsé en el suelo, estoy llorando, no me puedo levantar. Mi perrita se acerca, me lame las lágrimas. Busco mi teléfono, necesito llamar. Busco un psiquiatra, me necesito curar. Necesito estar mejor para mi mejor amiga. Así que esa historia corta, breve, ¿verdad? Sobre un evento real, sobre cómo al pasar 2 ataques de pánico, dado una situación de enfermedad con mi madre, la escribí con miras que alguien pueda entenderlo e identificarse. Así que, regarding challenges, is that, I mean, it's daunting. You have to be vulnerable. You have to embrace genuineness. I'm sorry, couldn't really say that word in English. Authenticity. We must be open to criticism, because, I mean, yeah, people say, why? You shouldn't. I mean, why are you saying all that? Why you washing your laundry out there? Because I can, because I wanna. So, and we must persist. So, tenemos que aceptar la vulnerabilidad, ser genuinos, la autenticidad, y debemos estar abiertos al criticismo y debemos continuar y persistir. La próxima. Next one. So I just give an example. There's a lot of stories about women who are in power. I mean, this right here is 4 of them, from politics, music, justice system, sports. So read their stories, but remember, your story is important as them, because that's probably how they start. So just read, but share. Not only read, share. Next one. As I tell you, be vulnerable and share. Como les decía, digan la verdad y compartan. La próxima. Next. The power of storytelling. Spark transformation. When you hear someone and you say, okay, that could be me, that happened to me, how can I change? La historia, contar historia, transforma. Challenges establishes norms, so cambia las normas. Amplify voices that has been silent. There's a lot of voices that have been silent, and you know who they are. And usually it's the women. And if they have been not silenced, they have been, being in a different perspective. And it's adaptable. So cambia las normas, amplifica esas voces que han estado por mucho tiempo injustamente en silencio y es adaptable. And what we mean by adaptable, I mean, you can tell it, you can publish, you can put it in social media, you can dance to a story. So is all the media that you can imagine, you can paint it as well. Next. So last thoughts. So storytelling is more than words, is embodies transformation. So contar historias más que las palabras trae la transformación. As we persist in sharing our narrative, we create wave of empowerment that extend far beyond our individual experiences. Así que en la medida en que nosotros compartimos estas narrativas, creamos ese empoderamiento, olas de empoderamiento que se extienden más allá de nuestra experiencia individual. And let's utilize our voices for equality and empowerment. Así que usemos nuestras voces para la igualdad y el empoderamiento. Next. So there's some reference. And next. I think that's the last one. So let's learn how to tell stories. I can help you. And also want to tell you that we're going to have a free poetry workshop in April 23 and April 25 at Obra Collective. Is going to be a bilingual poetry. Así que aprendamos a contar historias y vamos a tener unos talleres de poesía totalmente libres de costo el 23 y 25 de abril. So thank you very much. I'm passionate about this topic. And I think that I want to see, those stories out there and that we could have some, gathering and tell these stories to the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing, Orlando. Exactly where you were speaking of. Thank you for sharing also about your personal story. I think so many times we also send a message in our storytelling, just like you have mentioned with Emily. So many people can relate, and you may not even know that they're going through the same thing in the room. And you just was open to share your voice and made them feel so much more powerful. So thank you again so much. And I want to open the floor for anyone who may have any questions for Orlando.
I want to thank Orlando. I want to thank Orlando for her presentation. She is in my books, if you will. I am working on my PhD using a telling your story methodology. So want to be able to pick your brain a little bit as I'm working towards that. Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, everything that you need, what the work that every one of you is doing is amazing. So, I mean, everything that we can do to help the community and to empower women, come in. Again.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move to our last, but not least, final.
I had one. I'm sorry. I didn't push my finger quick enough.
Okay.
And I thought that Pamara, were you trying to say something as well? And I think you got bumped out. Pamara Carter. I did have one question.
No, I accidentally hit the wrong button there.
Okay. I didn't want to have missed the opportunity to speak. But it's good to hear your voice. You were talking about when you were talking about your panic attack. What came to mind was, and this goes all the way back to when Emily was sharing about her experience of the sense that we're supposed to be these strong, women that never have a moment, and that also never think about things that don't seem acceptable to people, right? Like,
Yes.
in that moment, the dog was the go-to person, right? No, seriously, but that you told that part of the story. You could have told the story differently, right? As opposed to saying, well, I have a husband, I have a son, but in that moment it was my dog, right? But that was the true story, was
Yes, true
the
story.
dog, right? And I thought about, I'm an incest survivor. So I thought about how many of us have been charged to be the keeper of secrets and the toll
Yes.
that that takes over time. And that I wonder if you see a connection between when we're groomed from young ages to be the keeper of secrets. You know, the whole thing, you don't say what's happening in the house, and what happens in the house stays. Y'all know all the happens in the house
Yes.
stays in the house, all of that. And I know that translates also into the Latino community as well. How much of that early grooming do you think carries over into our womanhood in ways that we're less prone to tell the whole truth?
Well, I think that is a really heavy weight that we carry. And as Emily also said, I mean, it's not just keeping secrets. It's just, I mean, we have a say that, the dirty, laundry, you have to wash it at home. So that, means a lot. So basically, you don't say anything wrong about your family, even those things that are wrong. And also this thing that you have to be perfect. So until you decide, and that was part of my case, that I said, I can't anymore. And I don't want to be strong anymore. I don't want to, I'm tired of this. So just, I mean, eh, so let go. Let go, because you can really control anything. And you think that you are controlling things, and that's the way. And no, that's not the way that it works. So yeah, our upbringing, have a lot to do. And even when we say, no, I don't, yeah, it's still in your mind somewhere. So yeah, secrets and trying to be the perfect woman is a really bad combination. And I think that everybody suffers from that.
Thank you. I also want to say there was intentionality to those who are participants. There was intentionality in Irlanda speaking in English and Spanish. And part of what we hope you had the opportunity to see and experience is what it's like when English is not your primary language and you have to sit in these Zoom meetings and you have to sit in environments where someone's talking and it's information that's important, but it's in a language that isn't your primary language. I can rough my way through, a couple of things, but I would have missed so much of what she said because it's not my primary language. So my hope is more of us will be willing, even if nobody else speaks that language as the primary language, that we get in the culture of truly being more inclusive. And some of that may mean that I'm also going to ride through conversations that may not be something that is centrally in the middle of my wheelhouse, but isn't that part of how we grow, right? So I want to thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing. Great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Orlando. So we're going to move on to our last but not least panelist. We have Audria Timbo, and let me share their PowerPoint. Give me one moment. All right, Miss Timbo, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm actually going to open the floor for you to share your own PowerPoint. I have it, but it's acting a little ugly right now.
No problem. No problem at all. Let me. Okay. I just got a message that it will. Okay, it'll just stop you. Okay. This will stop. Right, let me get that.
While Audrea is getting this set up, I'm going to read a little bit about Audrea Timbo. Audrea Timbo is a passionate advocate for health and well-being. She is committed to promote holistic well-being in both personal and professional spheres. With a background in public health and workplace well-being, she has a wealth of experience working with organizations in the public and private sector to design and implement strategies that prioritize employee health and foster a culture of well-being and psychological safety. She lives in the Charlotte region with her husband and children and is a senior analyst at Alley Financial. All right.
So I want to make sure that you're seeing just my full screen. Is that what you're seeing right now?
Yes, we are.
No. You are?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
We're seeing the screen and your notes. I don't think you want us to see
Oh, no. Thank you.
Yes.
Let me try that one more time.
No worries.
Thank you. I appreciate that. How about now?
There you go.
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so as you mentioned, my name is Audrea Timbo, and I am so happy to be here. So much of this conversation has really been a blessing to me. So I'm really blessed right now in hearing all those nuggets that I've heard thus far. So just a little bit about me. I am a health and well-being professional. So I currently work in corporate well-being. I have a master's degree in public health education, and I'm also a certified health education specialist. And I'm just going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm really excited to keep this conversation going tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So this is an overview of what we'll talk about a little bit tonight. So a lot of the things that we already have talked about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the correlation between the mind and body, how different factors impact our health, and then also how we can prioritize our health and wellness through self-compassion. So first, I want to talk about the idea of the mind and body connection. And as I mentioned, we different folks have already touched on that a little bit, but studies show that what we think and what we feel and what's happening in our bodies are deeply interconnected. And so depending on what we think or what we feel, whether that be positive or negative, our bodies may have a physical reaction. So for example, stress can increase your heart rate, it can elevate your blood pressure, it can cause migraines or GI issues or other sensations within the body. And at the same time, our physical conditions, so whether those be good or bad, can also trigger a particular thought or feeling in us as well. So all of these elements work together. And if we pay close attention to our physical and our mental health, it can really help to alert us if something may be off or if there's things that we might need to pay attention to. I just want to confirm, you're able to just see my screen, right? I want to make sure I'm...
Yes, that's correct. We only looking at your PowerPoint.
Okay, sorry. Got a little mixed up there. So when it comes to women's health, it's really important that we acknowledge the various factors that impact our total well-being. And so some of those factors make up the intersections of women's health. And those, as we've talked about tonight, include identity, our gender norms, social systems, as well as physiology, just to name a couple of those intersections. or factors. So our different social identities, whether that be our race, our ethnicity, our age, or even our ability, can have tremendous impacts on our overall health. And so one example of that comes with Black women in the United States having higher rates of preventative maternal mortality compared to their white counterparts, and being 3 times more likely to die due to pregnancy-related causes, regardless of their income or their education. And as the slide indicates, gender norms such as those tied to beauty ideals or general expectations, and I think someone mentioned it earlier, an example of that might be the norm or the impacts of having unequal distribution of the burden of caregiving or domestic responsibilities that many women may have, which can sometimes cause their own health needs to be overlooked or neglected. And then we have those societal systems, so legislation, cultural norms, discrimination also have many impacts, as well as our unique physiology, so which is those impacts that make our risk for certain health conditions such as breast cancer, autoimmune disorders, or irritable bowel syndrome, just to name a few things. Those conditions, we're at a big of a higher risk. So this is not an exhaustive list of all the different factors that make up our or impact our health, but this is just a snap of just how many things really impact our health and our own unique experiences as women as well. So now that I've kind of covered the correlation between thoughts and feelings, as well as the physical being and those intersections that I've just mentioned in the last slide, I really want to look at the staying strong fallacy and also talk about some things or some tips that you can utilize to cultivate your self-compassion and really developing that strong relationship and that positive relationship with yourself. And so honestly, so many people have mentioned this idea, or I take this idea of superwoman syndrome. And so I'm curious to know if anyone has ever heard of this idea of superwoman syndrome. Okay, I see a couple of hands. So it's a lot of what we talked about tonight, or has been said already. It really refers to those societal pressures that are placed on women to juggle multiple roles and responsibility effortlessly, is often at the expense of our own well-being. And so women experiencing this syndrome may feel compelled to excel in various domains within their career, their family, relationship, personal endeavors, and really striving for that perfection in each role that they undertake. But this pressure can really lead to chronic stress. It can lead to burnout and feelings of inadequacy. And those accumulated stress really open the door to a multitude of health issues. So going kind of back to that mind and body and how those things play together. And so while I believe striving for excellence is admirable and we should definitely put our best foot forth, it is really essential to recognize the limitations of human capacity, really, and to prioritize our own health and well-being, and acknowledging and challenging those social expectations that really fuel this superwoman syndrome is super critical in promoting a healthier and more sustainable approach to living a fulfilled life. So I wanted to leave you with a few tips for prioritizing your health and wellness through practicing self-compassion. And so I want to first start off by saying that self-compassion is truly a journey. It's a continuous process of learning and growing and self-discovery. So there may be obstacles like self-criticism or moments of doubt, but with dedication and commitment, individuals can gradually cultivate greater self-compassion and really reap the benefits of self-compassion, such as increased resilience and emotional well-being and a healthy relationship with themselves, but also with others. And so I want to leave you with these 7 self-compassion ideals, and they consist of mindfulness, self-kindness, common humanity, gratitude, setting realistic expectations, self-care, and seeking support. And if I could quickly go through them, mindfulness really requires reflecting on what we need, what we're feeling, and what we're thinking, and what our body needs. And, mindfulness, or I heard someone earlier mention meditation, it does not have to be, this long process. Sometimes it can be just a moment of reflecting on, like I said, those couple of things. What do you need in that moment? What are you feeling in that moment? What are you thinking? And really honing in what your body might need. And then self-kindness requires us extending patience and being gentle with ourselves, treating ourselves with that same kindness and care that you may offer a friend who might have a similar situation. Or it could be coming up with comforting statements or mantras for yourself when you find yourself in those moments. And then common humanity really pertains to recognizing that you are not alone in these struggles. And there are others that may be going through similar challenges. There's so many conversations and things that were brought up today that just made me just smile, because I could relate to a lot that was said. And so remembering that. And then gratitude is really essential, and it consists of really focusing on all the positive aspects of your life and the things that are going in your life. And then that fifth ideal really relates to being realistic about what you can achieve and understanding that it's okay to make mistakes, and we can use those as learning opportunities. And I'll even go as far as to say letting people know what is realistic and what you can offer, and knowing that it's okay when you can't. And then number 6, prioritizing self-care activities that really nourish your body, your mind, and your soul, and bring fulfillment into your life. And so these do not have to always be those grand gestures that we may see portrayed in media and movies or other channels of media. It's really, in fact, I'll say that often those simple everyday acts of self-care that we bring into our lives are generally most significant in making impacts on our well-being, because number one, they're consistent, and they're easy and they're simple, and we can do them more often. And then last but not least, I want to say acknowledging that you are worthy of receiving support from others when needed. And I will say that, and I've heard it throughout tonight's conversation, but seeking support can really take many forms. So whether that's talking to, a trusted friend or family member about your challenges, seeking guidance from a therapist. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, and all the benefits that can come there. And I do work in workplace well-being, so I will have to make a plug for EAP programs. If you have that offering through your employer, that's a great way to get connected to professional therapists for free, and confidential sessions on an array of issues, as well as healthcare provider offerings, and then community managed care organizations or other organizations in your community, and then joining support groups or a community of individuals that face similar challenges. I've heard all the wonderful programs that the Freedom Center has. So really connecting with people, like-minded people, and people who will understand and accept your authentic self. And then while women's challenges are not always talked about, I just want to say that I'm extremely excited and happy about conversations like this, because it really does destigmatize these experiences and let us know that we're not alone in these struggles and these challenges. And so I'm really happy that I was able to be a part of this discussion as well. I think back to my mom. My dad had a medical condition very young when I was in high school, and I kind of saw that my mom took over, that family structure changed. And I really wish that these opportunities for these discussions were, afforded to her during that time. So I'm really excited and so happy to have listened and be a part of today's discussion. And so I really just want to thank you so much, and I'll give it back to Mike.
Andrea, amazing job. I want to say we had some amazing panelists tonight. I mean, speechless. I want to thank you also for just uplifting all the topics that we spoke about today. It was kind of just great that you went last because you mentioned everything we talked about throughout the whole conversation. So it was just perfect. And I also see some things that we can connect with for kitchen table talks, but that will be a later date. But so I want to open the floor for Audrea if you have any questions or feedback. Also, this is the time where we also will open the floor for participants to ask any of the panelists any questions or feedback. This is the time now, as we'll be closing out shortly after questions and feedback. And thank you again.
Well, I just want to say thank you. Go ahead, and I can follow. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for your presentation. You gave us some key pointers. And man, the key point went right out of my head. But being able to, yeah, that's what happens when you got a whole lot on it, right? But being able to identify space where and people who you trust, I think that that is so important. Creating your own sister circle where the like-mindedness, I think that's what you spoke about, that I want to focus on. The fact that it's difficult for women of Black and Brown to find that space where like-minded folks can come together and just be their authentic selves. And so when you're able to find that space, even it's still a growing edge to get there. And so I appreciate that. I know the importance of it. However, we still are wrapped in our innards that we don't often jump over the barriers that we grew up with. But when you know that that circle is there, then it's time and everything else that helps you to realize that this is and I don't call spaces safe anymore, just brave. Yeah, thank you. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We also have Samantha who raised their hand. If you'll come off, then ask your question if you'll come off mute.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Samantha Mobley. I want to say thank you for hosting this program, and also thank you for the information from all of the speakers. I want to say that I was especially blessed by Ms. Layla's information. I just appreciate everything that you had to say, and thank you for the encouragement. And that's it. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you so much, Samantha.
One of the things I wanted to say in terms of Layla's presentation, Layla, what I also celebrated was your willingness to apologize, full-throated, not apologize or apologize because, but just I apologize, and how big that was. And Audrea, when thinking about the work that you do in the workplace, because you're centering your work centers a particular population. How have you found, or have you found that the experiences for women, that things show up differently for them in these corporate environments? Because you work primarily in corporate settings, I'm assuming. So in those settings, do you find that women have a particular set of challenges that are unique to them relative to their male counterparts? And if so, how do you encourage them to address that at times?
Yeah, I definitely see that. And I think there are different challenges. One that I can say that even myself, I'm trying to figure out how to balance is really that work-life balance, and understanding that, we have a job that needs to get done, and we have people that we need to support at work, but we also have people that we need to support at home. And I think that one thing that I think is coming to the forefront with a lot of organizations now, or at least I hope that it is for those organizations to really understand that work-life balance and flexibility. And I think having opportunities to speak with their employee population and understand what their needs are. Flexibility being a really hot topic right now, and hybrid or remote work and those abilities. I think that one huge thing that organizations or those that I've been a part of have really done is we have an employee resource group or employee resource network, and there are an array of those, but one that I can think of specifically is developing those for women. And so women have spaces to talk about all kinds of things. I know, for example, at my workplace, we just had a whole series on menopause. And so to have that space and that ability within the workplace to have those conversations and, understand the struggles of others and connect on that level with other women has really tremendously been tremendous for my experiences in the workplace, and I know other women as well.
Thank you.
Just checking the comments, make sure we didn't have any more questions. All right. So I want to open the floor one last time. If anyone has any last thoughts, comments, or feedback.
Great job to the Freedom Center for these great panelists. I know I have learned a lot, and I hope that this is something that you guys will consider doing again, and not just in March.
And also, I think Naima, you were.
Yeah, I did. Thanks to Maya for inviting me. I really, truly enjoyed listening to everyone's story. It resonated with me, especially Layla, your story. And Tamaya, I worked with you as an intern, and we worked under Layla. So, like, Layla, your story inspired me a lot because I too have went through being like the only person in my family, the first woman or first person in my immediate family to even graduate college, to even get a master's. I have 12 brothers and sisters, and I encourage them every day to continue to, do something that you really love to do. But it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't get through sometimes with them. But, I love my siblings, but I am the only person that decided to go forth to get my master's. And it sometimes is lonely up here, like trying to continue with school and just encouraging myself to continue because there's many times when I just wanted to give up. You have no idea. And hearing the stories today and what people went through and how you overcame and overcome, trials and tribulations, it really inspired me. And so I want to go out in the world. I want to do everything I can to make things different and break down those doors, as Layla stated, about, breaking that ceiling, I guess, and just helping people on a different level. So thank you so much for the invitation, to Maya, inviting me here. And thank you so much, and continue to inspire everyone in Charlotte. And thank you again.
Y'all gonna bring me some tears tonight. But honestly, I think all the panelists were wonderful. I keep saying that because this conversation would have not been as powerful as it was if we didn't have the great panelists that we did, as well as the participants. I want to shed some light on you all for being brave enough to come and share your stories and participate and want to learn and just hear all the great panelists and educate yourself on these topics. As Rev Lindsay said, me and Bishop, we do plan to keep having these wonderful events, virtual and in person. So we want to keep inviting you out. This also will kind of stem from kitchen table talks, as what I spoke about earlier. But we are also want to just take the time to empower women and not have to speak on just one main topic. So we will have more women empowerment events. And we just want to thank you all. And now I will pass it to Bishop for last words before we close on out tonight.
Thank y'all so much. I have learned so much, and let me tell you, I'm a woman of a certain age, y'all. Okay, so when I'm up this time of the evening, because normally me and the dogs are getting ready to turn it in. Okay, but this has been so rich. I just a personal piece. I'm lesbian. My wife of 24 years passed in November. One of the biggest things that I have found me missing is a sense of woman community in an interesting way. Because when you're married, and I had a wonderful marriage, let me just say so. So people that wind up talking about, they married a long time. I'm a former pastor. Let me tell you, that don't mean nothing. You tell me 50 years, I need to understand, was he beating you for 50 years? Were you happy for 50 years? So you got to ask those questions. But it was a great 24 years. But my point is, um, as I was listening to everybody and experiencing this, I was realizing it was so beautiful to be in community. Like it was just something about being in community. And the fact that people stayed really speaks to the fact that this was good for all of us, because y'all could have checked out, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to hold you to the fact that you will like this, because we may even be able to think about some broader things, like, is it possible to, say, hey, we're going to have this kind of this expanded kitchen table talk experience. And the whole idea behind kitchen table talks is there's a way women talk in the kitchen that we don't talk other places, right? And so we knew that people would catch us saying, we're going to talk in the kitchen, okay? But that's obviously symbolic. So the kitchen table talk could be at a restaurant. The kitchen table talk could be many places. It can be in congregational spaces. So we want to also encourage you to connect with us if you'd like to be a host of a talk like that, right? And we'll bring the resources, we can bring snacks, that kind of stuff. But if you have a group of particularly more mature women, but as you all can see from this gathering, my whole staff is made up of millennials and younger. I'm in my mid 60s. And so, well, I'll be over that. I'll be 66 this year. But I'm saying this to say, I think they should be at the table also, because that's how we learned. Many of us learned when we were sitting around and the older women were talking, and we would hear things about them talking about their man, or they wouldn't be talking about their woman, but they were talking about their man, and they were talking about varied other things. And we learned sitting at their feet in those kitchen tables. And so if you're interested in that, well, first of all, is there anybody that's interested in potentially doing something like that? Just put your hand up if you're interested, just quickly. Okay. All right. So I trust you saw those hands, Maya, that went up.
I got them.
It's a little bit of coaching too, y'all, going on here, but it's all good. Okay. So thank y'all so much. Samantha, if your hand hadn't gone up, I was going to say, I know your hand need to be up. All right. So we will do this again, and we'll explore what other kind of things we might do as well. But thank y'all so much. Have an amazing evening. And can we just give Tamaya, Blue, and Emily a hand wave? I have the baddest team, y'all. I'm so excited. And so many of them are young, powerful women of color. And that is just amazing. And so y'all were bad tonight. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to go and give you like an extra cupcake or something tomorrow. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you, Rev Glency. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay.
Maya, Blue, and M, if y'all could stay on for me. Good night, everybody.
Good night.